Hey everyone, you're watching Ash on Comics. My name's Ash, and I thought I would do another unboxing video. Why not? I got a couple things in the mail, some comics. Look at this. Both, one Gemini mailer and one not Gemini mailer. What's up with that? No, they both look like they're packaged well. Hopefully inside everything is good. What did you get, Ash? Oh, that's a good question. What did I get? Let's open up first. This bad boy. This is an eBay order. Why are you showing us your purchases? Because I don't really buy that much stuff online. I buy a few things. But I like getting some cool deals. This one is an eBay deal that I recently purchased. And let me tell you what I've learned about eBay. If you're buying comics on eBay, obviously you can buy whatever you want on eBay. I'm not going to tell you what to buy. But what I've found is that you can buy like single issues on eBay, and it's good for really hard to find stuff because it's just everything's on eBay, right? But the real finds on eBay are the bulk buys, where like if you're looking for a whole run of comics. So, oh look, that's kind of smart actually. I was about to be a little frustrated, but it's probably good. More packaging is better than less packaging. So they taped the bundle inside the box so it wouldn't shift around, which I think is a pretty cool thing to do. Set that over there. So, what was I saying? Buying runs of comics. I've been able to get some great deals. I bought, for example, the entire Bloodshot Salvation line. It's issue 1 through 16, I think I want to say. It was $24. But then the guy was like, $24 are best offer. So I just was like, oh, I'll just give this a shot. And I offered $20, and he's like, all right, cool. So $20, I got 1 through 16 of Bloodshot Salvation, which are $4 each. I mean, that's way less. I got Exo Manowar issues 4 through 18. I got that for like $16. Now, that was a super steal. Now, I still need to find issues 1, 2, and 3. I haven't found that, but I have since filled in 19 through 25, and then 26 is the last issue to come out. I'll have that a whole run. It cost me more to fill in afterwards, actually, than getting it on eBay. I got a really sick deal on Birthright, where I got 1 through 28. 1 through 28, minus issue 11, which I later did find. 1 through 28, plus the graphic novel, or the trade paperback of the first trade paperback, which is like the first 6 issues. I can't remember the arc, which was all like new condition. I gave the trade to my buddy. I was like, hey, I think you'll really like this comic. And, I got the originals. And he's got the trade now, and he loved it. I got that for $15 plus $15 shipping. So the shipping was pretty high, but I mean, it was like a stack. I mean, it came in a box. So I didn't, and the shipping was $15. I could see it on the thing. So I got charged right on the shipping. I mean, the trade paperback's almost $15 by itself. I mean, that was a super steal. So anyways, this is my latest thing that I got. This is probably making a crazy noise on the mic. I apologize. All right. What'd you get, Ash? What'd you get? I'm a little disappointed they're not individually bagged and boarded. That's kind of a bummer. But I got Super Sons 1 through 5 and 6 through 10. All of the Jimenez covers. They did all covers of these. This is before they did the full trade dress covers. They just did 2 different covers. But the A covers I liked on these because they were all the Jimenez. And Super Sons was probably the best series DC had running during this period. So I got 10 issues. Each pack of these 5 issues a piece were $13. plus free shipping. And then you get a discount actually for ordering more. So I ended up paying like $25 for both of these for 10 issues. That's $2.50 an issue. It would cost me $4 plus per issue to track these down in the stores. This one is not as great of a deal as I've gotten in the past, but it's still, and I'm going to say something that's going to sound disparaging. This is less than a Comicsgate comic. Okay? And this is part of the reason I wanted to do this. It's not to disparage Comicsgate creators, okay? I want Comicsgate creators to succeed. I want all creators to succeed. Even if I don't agree with you as a person, I don't want you to just not succeed. I want you to not succeed if your work sucks. Like you're just, oh, I just drew shit and here you go. Like I don't want that. But if you're really trying and doing your best and you entertain, if you do good work, I want you to succeed. But there's a failure in certain parts of the comic book, I'm going to say it, community. I know a lot of people are, we're not a community. Okay. To understand, this is what Comicsgate is about. Comicsgate is about existing mainstream comics. Okay? Right now there's a big argument, and I've caused a little bit of drama on Twitter because I'm like, I made a Twitter post, you may or may not have seen it, where I said, remember back when the days when Comicsgate was a consumer movement about restoring, comics to what they used to be, and not about an elitist movement of comic book creators. And some people have been taken aback by that. Some people have been like, yeah, right on. And other people are like, why you hate, like I'm some anti-CG person. Now, because Comicsgate has changed its definition. A lot of people understand Comicsgate now to be about this new indie scene. And it's not. It never was, right? Indie comics have been around for forever, okay? When I was coming up into comics, when I started collecting comics in the mid-'80s, half the comics I really was into were indie comics. I was getting Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when it was still a black and white comic, when it was still the violent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not the goofy Cowabunga before pre-cartoon days. Usagi Yojimbo is still to this day one of my favorite comics of all time. I think Stan Sakai and Usagi Yojimbo, some people understand, but the masses don't realize he's one of the all-time greats. That he came up in an extremely indie comic called Albedo, which probably most people listening to this video have never even heard of. Dave Sims, Cerebus. There was a lot of indie stuff going on. And, Ethan Van Sciver started off in the 90s in Cyberfrog. The indie scene has always been there. It's always been this outlet for people to do their own stuff. Even Joe Q, I call him Joke, #Joke. He started off in the indie scene with his book Ash and something else, I forget. There's always been an indie scene. There's always been a place. The big Marvel guys, they went off formed Image. That was an indie scene. CG is not a new Image. That's not what we started this for. We're upset because we like our comics good. We like our DC and our Marvel comics to be what they always were for decades and decades, and we don't like SJWs hijacking them. And this series, I came into comics, just let you know, I'm going to admit my own bias and prejudice here. I'm a huge ex-Marvel fanboy. When I came back into comics, it took some doing because Marvel is so far gone, and it took some convincing that DC was doing some cool things. And I was like, I'm not really a DC guy, but I saw. So I got into like White Knight. I bought Mr. Miracle, although that one didn't hold me. But White Knight is, jeez. And this book, I laughed at because number one, I don't like legacy characters, and number two, I don't like kid hero characters. So I was like two strikes against it. I was like, this is dumb. Super Sons, dumb. And then it was coming out every month, and everyone was talking about how great it was, and I did like the art, admittedly. I mean, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool art. I didn't really understand Tomasi back then. He's one of my favorite writers now. And then it was announced that it was getting canceled, and people were going ape shit about it being canceled, and I was kind of an asshole. And I was like, who cares? It's a stupid book anyway. We'll get over it, move along. No one wants these joke characters anyway. I didn't know I was an idiot. I'm admitting that right now. And everyone kept talking about these books. Well, I was reading the Superman comic by Tomasi, which had John Kent in it. And it was winning me over. And then I was like, you know what? I'm an idiot. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And so I started picking up Super Sons. Actually, they didn't announce it was being canceled. People were, sorry, I got my history mixed up. People were announcing that their fear it was going to be canceled. Like they were kept hearing like rumors, and I was just like, you know. But I picked up the book, I think around issue 13 or 14. I think 14 was my first issue. I picked it up, and then right after I picked it up, then they announced it was canceled. And then I was pissed. I was joining these same people who I was mocking because this is one of the best books. This was the best book at the time. This was the Hawkman of the day. Okay, so good. So I have issues 13, 14, 15, 16, and the Dino Mud. And I have afterwards. I don't have 11 and 12, which is the future story. But I bought these in trade. And I was like, you know, I really love these. So I found them, and I decided to pick them up because I really wanted these in my collection. I want the floppies. And I take pride in my comic collection, not necessarily of valuable comics, but like great comics. And this was something that I should own. I have all the Adventures of Super Sons. So that was a worthy buy. I feel proud to have that. And if you're going to sell me some comic online on Indiegogo for $25 plus $10 shipping and handling, but I've never even read your work, or I don't know the character, that's a hard sell to me. I don't think a lot of these people are getting. You know, if you're Ethan Van Sciver, you're going to get a lot of people buying Cyberfrog because Cyberfrog did have a past. It's been around before, and so if you have some money now, you can. Well, before his thing, you could have found it pretty cheap, I bet, but now it's gone up. You can go and get Cyberfrogs. You can follow. There's a history to it, but also Ethan is a superstar. I mean, before he left DC, he was one of the top artists in the business. I mean, he's a rock star. So there's a lot of people that, you know, just like when Image left back when I was a fan, you know, back in my original time during comics in the 90s, when McFarlane, Jim, all those guys left Image, I was like, I'm following you, you know, like, because if Jim Lee quit DC tomorrow and started making his own indie book, I would be buying it because I'm a huge Jim Lee fan, you know. So I get that. But if you're just Joe Schmo guy, like, hey, I have this idea for a book and I got an artist, you know, even if it's an artist like John Malin who's a pro and he's good at what he does, like, I don't just necessarily going to buy some random book. That's a lot of money. So, what's my next thing? This was a store purchase from a comic book shop called Newbury Comics. And you're like, oh, Ash, you got Action Comics 1000, peekaboo. Why did you get Action Comics 1000? Because it was super cheap. And I wanted a rare version of Detective 1000. I got the Frank Miller. I've already posted that before. And I always lamented, like, I have the regular cover of Action Comics 1000. And I'm happy I got those, but these are special books, right? And I'm a huge Superman fan. I like Batman better because it's a better book, but Superman's more my favorite character. And this is a big thing, just from a comics standpoint. Both of these reaching 1,000. And the two books that I bought are never going to be worth squat. And you say, well, why, Ash, why does that matter? Well, it's not that it matters so much, but it's kind of nice to have something special. If you're a collector, to have a book that not everyone and their grandma has 5 copies of. So I was like, I really wanted a variant cover that's one of the Chase covers. And the one that I wanted was the Alex Ross cover, which was a copy essentially of the original Detective 27 with Batman swinging in the air, and there's like 2 gangster guys on the rooftops, and he copied the scene but with his art and he just redrew it all. But the trade dress is exact replica. It's like, oh, that's so cool. It was $25 a pre-order. I missed the boat, and now it's going for $100. So I was like, oh, no. But anyways, Newbury Comics was selling this for $12 for this version. And I was like, oh, that's only $2 more than the normal. And then they had a special where it was get Action for $5 if you buy. And I was like, oh, well, Patrick Gleason is one of my favorite artists working today. And look at this. They're both Patrick Gleason. And they're thematically together. Like, I love that this is what the Superman is to me. This is the modern Superman, Jonathan Kent, his wife, the marriage, the modern Superman. I love this. And this is what I hate about, but Bendis has destroyed this. So this is kind of important to me. 80 years of Superman got to here, pre-Bendis. And this is, even though I'm not a Bat Family fan, like, I don't like the Legacy. I'm not a Robin guy. I like Batman as the solo Dark Knight. But I can respect that A, other people like the Bat Family, and B, that this is Batman's family. Like, he doesn't obviously have a family of his own because you all know why. I do think Ace, the Bat Mutt or whatever, is stupid, but I also think Crypto's stupid. But I like him in the picture because since you have Crypto, it works both ways. You can put them facing together or facing away like that. I just, thematically, it works. So I got an artist that I like, cover. I think these are like 1,500 copies. So these are going to be, not right now, you can go to Newbury and buy these, but down the road, these will not be easy to get. And I'll have something that, like I said, people will be like, oh, I've never seen that, or... So that was cool to me. So it was like $17-18, and I got Action Comics too. Oh, and by the way, these are 96 pages. $7.99. Well, normal cover price $7.99, $9.99. Again, goes to my argument about buying comics. People are like, our comics are so much better than. It's like, no, they're not. Comicsgate is fighting bad comics, and that's an important truth to identify. There are a lot of bad comics out there. And Comicsgate, we don't want our shitty X-Men. We don't want Spider-Man kicked off in the middle of my video. I love when that happens. We don't want all these SJW books. We don't want Captain America as a Nazi, right? I don't want Harley Quinn. I don't even go on that Harley Quinn issue. But there are still good comics. Detective Comics by Peter Tomasi is knocking it out of the park. When Tomasi was writing Superman, he was knocking it out of the park. These are better. There may be. I'm not saying that an Indiegogo, Kickstarter person can't make a comic better than these books. But I haven't seen one yet, right? And they're cheaper. And this is what I want. If you can give me Superman that's well written and a decent price, well, not $25 an issue, that's what I want. I don't want this to go away. And I get on Twitter and people are like, well, what's the matter, Ash? You're hating on these people. You don't want them to make money. No, I do want them to make money. I don't want them to conflate that their motives are Comicsgate's motives, because they're not. Comicsgate is trying to save this. Now, indie creators are more than welcome, and if you're making good work, I'm going to support you. Go do your thing, but don't make it off the backs of this movement, because what's happening is this movement is getting destroyed by the efforts of the other movement. And you have a lot of popular artists, such as Ethan Van Sciver. I'm not trying to pick on the guy. I like the guy. He's had me on his show. I support what he's doing in terms of indie comics, and I really hope that his project, what is it called, All Caps Comics, is a major success and shakes up the industry. I want that. And I love all the work that he's done for Comicsgate, right? But his popularity and that movement's success is draining the Kickstart or the Comicsgate consumer movement that's fighting for these. Ethan's not fighting for this, right? And he'll admit it. He's like, I don't care. I don't need these guys anymore. I got my own thing, and that's great. Go. You have every right to have your own thing, and I'm a huge free market guy, and if you can be better than DC and Marvel and you start your own comic company and it's better, I'll support it. But that's not why Comicsgate exists, right? Right now, when I'm pro Comicsgate, it's because I'm fighting for this. I want Batman to not die. I want Superman not to die. I want them to be great comics, right? I'm a huge X-Men fan of old. I can't stand to even look at X-Men these days because it breaks my heart how shitty it is. I won't even buy a Marvel comic. Well, I did buy the Spider-Man life story, but that's beside the point. So this is just me wanting to unbox some books. I know it's like a 20-minute video. It's pretty long, but you could have tuned out anytime. I appreciate that if you listened this far. It's also me just getting something off my chest, trying to maybe hopefully clarify a position that I'm not against people making their own books. I'm not trying to hurt them. I promote these books online, but they're separate. And I believe that the success to both Comicsgate and these indie creators is to have a formal division between it. They can work together. They can be allies. They can be symbiotic, right? The fan and the professional relationship is necessary. You can't have fans without pros, and pros can't be pros without fans. But when you mix the two and make it one thing, it loses something. And I think if you are a comics creator, for all caps to succeed, in my opinion, the only way all caps is going to succeed is if it's just a great comic company, not a Comicsgate comic company. Do you see what I'm saying? That you're limiting yourself. You're saying it's the same problem that SJWs are having while trying to target half the audience. You have another group targeting the other half of the audience. And the best thing to do is to get all the audience and win them over to your way of thinking, to your way of making comics. This is an opportunity for me to shout out Peter Simeti because he's doing exactly that with $1.50 issues. And he's not political. He doesn't take a side, even though if you listen to the guy, you know he's Comicsgate. He just doesn't pronounce. It's one you can always have the views, but he doesn't use like I'm a Comicsgate. These are comics. His idea is my comics are for everyone. I'm Alterna. I'm making comics that everyone should love. And because of that, Comicsgate already is like, yes, we love you, Peter. You see what I'm saying? There's no need to say you're a Comicsgate person, because if you just do it right, that's what Comicsgate was for. So you don't need to win over Comicsgate. You're preaching to the choir. What you need to do is win over anti-Comicsgate. You need to win them over and show them, look, our comics are better. And you can't do that as long as you're being political about it, as long as you're basically, we're against you. Because then they're going to be like, well, then F you. I don't want your books. Even no matter how good your book is, they're going to hate you just because you're on the opposite side. Whatever, this has been a long enough video. Thank you for indulging me. Tell me what you think about these books and these purchases. Tell me what you think about my rant. Hopefully it wasn't upsetting to anybody. All right. I'll catch you next time. Like and subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. Whatever you're supposed to say on YouTube as a creator, those things. And I will see you next time. Bye.